and no man. Like, damn.
You don't listen. Come on.
It's a bidet.
From the beginning, Rasit made it seem like getting a bidet was something he considered important. He wasn't treating it like a small luxury or something that could wait until later. Instead, he pushed the issue as though it needed to happen immediately. That's what caught my attention, because when you're starting a life together, there are usually much bigger financial priorities than spending a large amount of money on something that has less expensive alternatives. Mallorie, on the other hand, seemed to be looking at the bigger financial picture. She understands that life comes with bills, responsibilities, and unexpected expenses. Every dollar matters, especially when two people are still trying to establish themselves. That's why I could understand why she wasn't rushing to spend money on something that wasn't absolutely necessary. What really changed the conversation was when money from Mallorie's accident settlement became part of the discussion. The moment that happened, the disagreement stopped being about a household item and started becoming about financial boundaries. Just because someone has money available doesn't automatically mean that money should be used for every purchase someone else wants. I think financial independence is extremely important in any relationship. People are married or have fully combined their finances. Each person still has the right to decide how their own money is spent. That's not about being selfish. It's about protecting yourself and making responsible financial decisions until both people have built enough trust and stability. One thing I couldn't ignore was how quickly the conversation started feeling emotionally charged. Instead of simply accepting that Mallorie wasn't comfortable spending the money, Rasit appeared determined to continue pushing the issue. The more he insisted, the less this looked like a conversation, and the more it looked like pressure. To me, that's where the real problem begins. Every couple will disagree about money at some point. That's completely normal. The difference is how those disagreements are handled. Healthy discussions involve listening, compromising, and respecting each other's decisions. Once one person starts making the other feel guilty for saying no, the discussion becomes much less productive. Another moment that stood out was when Rasit reminded Mallorie that he left his country for the relationship. While that's certainly a major sacrifice, I don't think it should automatically become an argument that wins every disagreement. Choosing to relocate for love is a serious decision, but it shouldn't mean the other person has to give in every time there's a conflict. Relationships aren't built by keeping score over sacrifices. If every disagreement turns into a reminder of everything one person has given up, it becomes much harder to solve the issue that's actually in front of them. Instead of focusing on the current problem, the conversation shifts toward emotional leverage, and that's rarely healthy for any relationship. I also think this disagreement exposed the fact that Mallorie and Rasit may have very different approaches to money. Some people see spending on comfort as a worthwhile investment, while others believe essential expenses should always come first. Neither mindset is automatically wrong, but couples need to communicate openly about those differences before they become major sources of conflict. Another thing that caught my attention was that there were clearly more affordable options available. That's why it became difficult for me to understand why this particular purchase had to become such a major issue. When less expensive alternatives exist, insisting on the more expensive option doesn't seem like the most practical decision, especially when finances are already a concern. I also respected the fact that Mallorie appeared cautious about protecting her money. Large financial settlements often exist for very specific reasons, and spending them carelessly can create problems later. Being careful with money doesn't mean someone doesn't care about the relationship. Sometimes it simply means they're thinking about long-term security instead of short-term satisfaction. Throughout this moment on 90 Day Fiancé, I kept wondering whether this disagreement was actually revealing a much bigger compatibility issue. Financial disagreements often expose values that couples haven't fully discussed yet. If one person believes money should be spent freely while the other believes every purchase should be carefully considered, those differences can continue causing problems throughout the relationship. Another thing I noticed was how quickly frustration replaced understanding. Instead of trying to find a solution both of them could accept, each person seemed focused on defending their own position. Once conversations reach that point, compromise becomes much more difficult because nobody feels like they're truly being heard. I also believe trust plays a huge role here. Financial trust takes time to build. It doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly shouldn't be rushed. If one partner isn't comfortable using personal money for certain purchases, that decision deserves respect. Pressuring someone to spend money they're uncomfortable spending doesn't strengthen trust, it weakens it. At the same time, I can understand why Rasit feels strongly about maintaining certain habits and comforts from his own culture. Moving to another country often requires major adjustments, and it's understandable that people want to hold on to things that make them feel more at home. The problem isn't wanting those comforts. The problem is expecting them to become an immediate financial priority when there are other responsibilities to consider.